Let's rank Michael Myers movies. From Den of Geek, which was your favorite?
I knew what he was, but I never knew why.
Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers from 1995. There are Halloween movies that are slightly more inept than Halloween 6, aka The Curse of Michael Myers. There are also Halloween movies that are visually nastier and more unpleasant than The Curse of Michael Myers. But there isn't another Halloween movie as stupid as The Curse of Michael Myers. This messy, incoherent jumble of slasher cliches commits the cardinal sin of Halloween. It explains why Michael is evil, and its explanation is ludicrously dumb. This film reveals that Michael is not a psychopathic murderer or a vacant, calculating embodiment of evil, the ambiguity between the two always being the appeal. Nay, it turns out he's a victim, a man tortured by an evil Illuminati-like cult that placed a druid curse on him as a child, forcing him to kill his family. He doesn't want to do it. Talk about defanging your monster. Also, the film unceremoniously slaughters the new franchise protagonist, Jamie Lloyd, in the first 10 minutes while refusing to bring back Danielle Harris to the role, and it doesn't do this movie any favors with the fans. But look, there's a young Paul Rudd as an adult Tommy Doyle.
The audience will see only what you see.
Are you sure they're not just putting us in some house with hidden cameras in the shower?
This is gonna be fun.
Halloween Resurrection, from 2002. Even the most devoted fans of Halloween movies are hard-pressed to find much merit in Halloween Resurrection. The film is, in a word, atrocious. The script and concept are terrible, the characters are utterly uninteresting, the suspense is non-existent, and the film undoes the excellent ending of Halloween H2O. Jamie Lee Curtis is brought back for a contractually bound cameo in the opening scene to retcon H2O's ending before the film jumps ahead to what feels like a reality show that takes place in the Myers house. Halloween Resurrection pretends to comment on the nature of reality TV and the internet age, but it's ultimately a cynical, creatively bankrupt cash grab. The whole enterprise can best be summed up with the visual of rapper Busta Rhymes kung fu fighting with Michael Myers, which is unintentionally hilarious. What's more, Busta Rhymes somehow beats the super strong Michael twice.
I don't want any surprises till I get there in the morning.
6 guys to lift 1 stiff. That's one for the books.
From 2009 Halloween 2, freed from the burden of having to rehash Carpenter's original story, Rob Zombie transforms his blood-drenched sequel into an audacious 3-ring freak show filled with pulverizing violence, bizarre surrealism, and pitch-black humor, all of it captured on gritty 16mm film stock by inventive cinematographer Brandon Trost. With a misanthropic savagery that few other directors can top, Zombie depicts Michael Myers as a humanoid wrecking ball who doesn't so much stab his victims as he does punch knives straight through their fragile bodies. Not even Octavia Spencer escapes alive. For the complete stomach-churning experience, watch the unrated director's cut and prepare to be rattled.
They know that Michael Myers is her uncle, and that she attacked her stepmother. That's why they fear her.
From 1989 Halloween 5 The Revenge of Michael Myers. Dead in a fun way, at least for younger audiences, and without John Carpenter or Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween 5 came out 1 year later to ruin all that. It was the beginning of a now very familiar trend with this series. The last movie ended with a tantalizing cliffhanger, as the evil spirit of Michael Myers had possessed sweet little Jamie Lloyd, Danielle Harris, since her uncle Mikey was dead and burning in hell. Well, Halloween 5 takes that all back by revealing Jamie was just being precocious when she stabbed her foster mother in the bath, and Michael's still here to do his bit of the stabby. When I was younger, I was annoyed that the film also killed off Rachel, Ellie Cornell, in the first half hour. Rachel had been Jamie's older foster sister and protector in the last movie and a convincing enough stand-in for the absent Jamie Lee. As an adult, it's easier to understand these exhausted franchises need new surprises, yet the film fails to create an exciting teen protagonist to replace Rachel. It instead settles for the paper-thin Tina, Wendy Kaplan, to be there, kind of just. Yet Jamie Lloyd is still a compelling lead. and her final confrontation with her uncle while she hides in the coffin he built for her is genuinely unnerving. Donald Pleasance gets to go ham in the scene where he beats Michael with a stick. It just makes him angry.
What are you gonna do when Michael comes back for you? 'Cause he is coming.
But this time, something feels different.
From 2022, Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends is the most recent installment of the Halloween franchise, marking the 13th original film in the series. Upon its release, many initially pulled it with some of the worst installments in the entire franchise, mainly because it was an underwhelming ending to David Gordon Green's modern trilogy that started with such high expectations from 2018's Halloween. Criticisms reflect these sentiments of disappointment with Green's trilogy, which tapered in quality and originality from Halloween to Halloween Kills. Some redemptive qualities about Halloween Ends suggest that critics might have been too harsh on the film given its context. Its major flaw is taking the focus away from Laurie and Michael by centering around the brand new character Corey, which is different from what fans or critics want from a trilogy finale. This strange narrative choice ultimately robbed fans of what they wanted to see: more Laurie and, of course, more Michael. It ended the trilogy with a definitive stance that Michael would not return. From 2021 Halloween Kills. If kills are what you want, this appropriately titled entry covers you. With a higher body count than most Rambo movies, this brutal follow-up to the 2018 reboot does have a few other things going for it. The score is undeniably powerful, the plentiful callbacks are creatively integrated with the new storyline, and Michael Simmons bathes the nighttime action in a ghoulish glow. But sadly, Halloween Kills is also a frustrating mess. An ill-conceived subplot about a vigilante mob chasing a doughy mental patient around Haddonfield is sure to fast-forward material on video. Jamie Lee Curtis is sidelined with a stomach wound for the entire film and given nothing interesting to do. Besides the gnarly kills and stylish look, this Myers movie is let down by its awkward execution.
3 people brutally murdered and a 10-year-old boy being held in custody.
From 2007 Rob Zombie's Halloween. After Halloween, Resurrection seemed to run the original timelines into the ground. The Weinstein Company settled on remaking the 1978 masterpiece while getting one of the hip new horror auteurs to slap his name on it. The result is Rob Zombie's controversial and bizarre 2007 version of Halloween. Despised by many longtime fans for its demythologizing approach toward Michael Myers, who is essentially reimagined as a serial killer suffering from severe sociopathy among other personality disorders here, as well as Zombie's undeniably trashy approach to characterization and dialogue, there are many detractors of this one, yet we find quite a bit to like. If you're going to slaughter sacred cows and remake a classic, which everyone was doing in the horror genre in the 2000s, at least try to make it your own. Zombie did that with a vision that is wholly not John Carpenter's Halloween, but is pretty fascinating in its own right. This is most true during the movie's extended first act, where after brutally murdering his sister, her boyfriend, and even his stepfather, young Michael spirals into a mental asylum despite the best efforts of a much more empathetic Dr. Sam Loomis, Malcolm McDowell.
We could have a Halloween party, just the 4 of us. We could have a roaming orgy. I love the way this man.
From 1998 Halloween H2O. Jamie Lee Curtis was the instigator of Halloween H2O once she realized the 20th anniversary of Halloween was coming up. She got in touch with Carpenter and Deborah Hill in hopes of reuniting on a new sequel to explore what happened to Laurie Strode after the original, but eventually, she was the only H2O was developed following the smash success of Scream, so the script was infused with much of the same meta-self-awareness. H2O picks up with Laurie, who has faked her death and gone into hiding, working as the headmistress at a private school while being an overprotective mother to John, played by Josh Hartnett. The sequel is at its best when exploring Laurie's psyche, struggling to hide her alcoholism and overcome the sneaking fear her brother will return. When he inevitably does, It leads to a final act where she grabs an axe and decides to end her nightmare. Curtis is great and bolstered by an impressive young cast, including Michelle Williams and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. The result of Halloween H2O makes it one of the standouts of the entire film franchise, particularly considering that the final scene would have been a perfect ending to the original series.
Where are they taking her?
They're taking her to the factory.
I want a mask. Can I have a mask?
Just what I had in mind for you, little buddy.
From 1982, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, the lovable black sheep of the series, Halloween 3, offers a welcome respite from Michael Myers' mayhem, opting instead to tell a wonderfully silly sci-fi horror tale about a sinister toymaker and his booby-trapped masks. Beautifully shot by master Dean Cundey and impressively scored by Carpenter and Alan Howarth, this nostalgic chiller has gained cult status over the years, largely thanks to its charming lead performance by stalwart character actor Tom Atkins. Sporting a luxurious 70s porn stash and a gigolo swagger, Atkins shines in the role of an ER doctor who's groovy enough to battle an Irish warlock in California.
He's here to kill that little girl and anybody who gets in his way.
From 1988, Halloween 4 The Return of Michael Myers. Halloween 3 showed the potential of what Halloween could become, and Halloween 4 showed what it would settle for over the next several decades. There is a lot more creativity and originality in the former, but if we're honest, Halloween 4 was more fun, realizing he was missing out, as Friday the 13th ripped off his franchise to greater year-in, year-out B-movie success. Producer Mustafa Akkad greenlit this Me Too version of Michael Myers that belatedly jumped on the 80s slasher movie bandwagon, minus Carpenter or Hill's high-minded intentions. Still, we'd take Halloween 4 over any Jason movie. With Jamie Lee Curtis not returning, we pick up 10 years after the last movie and discover Laurie died in a car crash, but she left behind an orphaned and precocious daughter named Jamie Lloyd, played endearingly by a young Danielle Harris, who, after starring in 2 of the original Cannon's films, plus Rob Zombie's remakes, is a fan favorite. Jamie Lloyd makes a compelling protagonist because she's so defenseless against Michael, particularly the first time out. Meanwhile, Ellie Cornell provides a serviceable stand-in for Curtis as the teen heroine and put-upon older sister, and Donald Pleasence is on hand to deliver the ham, bacon, and a full English breakfast with his deliciously histrionic performance. The scene at the end where he discovers Jamie Lloyd has followed her uncle on the path of incomprehensible evil is still one of the best moments in any Halloween movie. It's a pity that the series didn't follow up on it.
There was nothing within him, neither conscience nor reason, that was even remotely human.
From 1981 Halloween 2, the success of 1978's Halloween led producers to think there was still gold to be mined from the concept, so a sequel was requested. Carpenter felt no more story following the original but accepted a deal to write and oversee the production. By his admission, it was a painful script to write, and the somewhat controversial reveal that Laurie Strode is the sister of Michael Myers was an attempt to inject something unexpected. Halloween 2 picks up where the original left off, with Laurie being wheeled to a hospital and Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasence, continuing his hunt for Michael. New director Rick Rosenthal brought back much of the same crew to make a seamless transition between the 2 films. While the movie isn't nearly as sleek as its predecessor, Halloween 2 features creepy sequences, another great soundtrack, and a committed turn by Pleasence. Unfortunately, Curtis spends most of her screen time confined to a bed, but the final half hour is an effective cat-and-mouse chase between her and Michael through the eerily quiet hospital. The sibling twist is effectively handled, although providing Michael with a motive somewhat undermines his aura.
We're here to investigate a patient that killed 3 innocent teenagers on a Halloween in 1978.
From 2018, Halloween, a deft mixture of horror and humor, David Gordon Green's sensational franchise reboot is a loving homage to the original and a perfectly crafted slasher movie in its own right. Obsessive Michael Myers fans will enjoy a wealth of clever callbacks and in-jokes. At the same time, moviegoers who've never seen a Halloween film will discover just how incredible Jamie Lee Curtis can be when pitted against a masked maniac, dialing Laurie's seasonal paranoia up a few dozen notches from where it was in the unrelated H2O. Curtis elicits well-earned cheers from the audience when she makes her final stand against the relentless boogeyman.
Because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
And the #1 pick is the 1978 original. The original is, of course, still the best. Where to begin? What should you say about this movie that has not been said 1,000 times? Some 15 years after being incarcerated in a sanitarium for the seemingly motiveless murder of his sister, Michael Myers escapes and returns to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, on Halloween night, bent on more random slaughter. From that simple synopsis, and with the committed performance of Jamie Lee Curtis as the original final girl, Laurie Strode, the stuff of nightmares was woven. Director John Carpenter and co-writer Deborah Hill turned their villainous Myers into the Shape, a living embodiment of evil that needs no reason to kill and apparently cannot be killed. When one watches Halloween now, it's always striking how spare and almost elegant it is. From the still haunting score to the concise narrative to Carpenter's seemingly effortless use of shadow, light, and perspective to create scenes of almost unbearable tension, this is as well-oiled a machine as a horror film can be, with not a frame of film wasted or misused. And with that final, terrible shot of the empty patch of ground where Michael's bullet-ridden body was lying a moment earlier, Carpenter also created a legend. This modern folktale has become a permanent, still frightening part of the culture. That was our show for today. What did you think? Does this list reflect how you enjoyed the Halloween movies? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And while you're at it, I'd be honored if you subscribe to my channel, click the bell to stay informed, and check out my Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise also in the comments. Until next time, this is Axel and for Kevin Given saying live long and prosper, may the force be with you, and keep reaching for the stars.